Hi, I'm Whitney Lauritsen. I'm 28 years old and I've been vegetarian for about 8 years now. I went vegetarian really out of curiosity. I was inspired by a friend who was a vegan, and it just felt so good to me on so many different levels. Intuitively, I just knew that it was the right thing for me. It felt good for health reasons. It felt good for kind of spiritual reasons, compassion, environmental. The more I learned about it, the more excited I became about it, and it took over my life in all the greatest ways. About 6 months after I went vegetarian, I decided to give veganism a try, which means I stopped eating dairy products, so no milk, no cheese, etc., no eggs. I also hadn't been eating fish since I went vegetarian. And I also cut out other things out of my lifestyle, like animal-based clothing, like leather, silk, wool, etc. Any body products. A lot of body products are tested on animals or use like various animal ingredients. Cut those out. And I just started looking at my whole lifestyle as a whole and just starting to realize how much animal products are incorporated into our lives and really trying to just get rid of it. The reason I did this was, first out of curiosity, but then when I started reading about it, doing research, meeting other vegans, and really understanding it, I realized, again, just like vegetarianism, it just made sense on an kind of like an intuitive level. I felt like the compassion side of it and the environmental side of it were even more impactful than just being vegetarian. About a year ago, I decided to make another adjustment to my diet after doing some research and speaking with friends, and this time I decided to give up soy and gluten. You probably already know what soy is, but gluten is a protein found in a lot of processed foods like breads and pastas. And I decided to experiment with it because I just am always looking for ways to really improve my health and simplify my diet and look my best, feel my best. And when I took gluten and soy out of my diet, I instantly felt those benefits. With gluten, I quickly lost kind of like excess weight and kind of like swelling reduced. Like I think I kind of had like almost like a bloated look sometimes. And the gluten just like, once that was gone, the bloating, swelling, extra weight was gone. With soy, that really improved my digestion altogether. I'd always kind of struggled with soy, but just kind of felt like it was part of the vegan diet and didn't really feel like it was worth giving up. I didn't really know what I would eat besides soy because there are so many different types of, fake meats out there, or, various products with soy in it, tofu, of course. But when I took that out, every time I ate, I just felt great all the time instead of having indigestion or bloating or gas or any of that. I've experienced so many health benefits since going vegetarian that I can't even remember all of them off the top of my head. The first thing that comes to mind is weight loss. When I went vegetarian, I just started shedding pounds simply from giving up meat. When I went vegan, even more so. And then, like I mentioned earlier, when I went gluten-free, even more so. So I discovered that it really tied into the specific foods that I was taking out of my body, plus the foods that I was putting into my body. And likewise, because of how healthy I've been eating, I feel an increased vitality in general. My energy levels went up. I rarely get sick. If I do, it's just for a very brief period of time. My skin, my hair, my nails, all of that just is flourishing, thriving. Digestion as well, especially when I cut out soy out of my diet personally, it wasn't working for me. So I think the biggest thing for me about going vegan is it inspired me to really start thinking about the food I was putting into my body. And because of that, I've really started to learn a lot about nutrition and how it interacts and makes my body healthy. Getting protein has never been a problem for me as a vegan. In fact, I've been to a lot of different doctors and they've never told me that I have a protein deficiency. And I've discovered that most Americans actually get more protein than they even need. The vegan diet is full of protein because all plants contain protein. It varies depending on what variety. Legumes typically have the most amount of protein, so whether it's beans or even things like peanuts, tofu, all of those different sources have huge amounts of it. My favorite thing to do is to just go to the grocery store and just wander around the bulk section, which is like grains and beans and nuts and all sorts of things, and just kind of pick out a bunch of things and then go home and make it. And I'll go into the produce section and do the same thing and just find all sorts of good-looking vegetables and fruits and take this all home and find a recipe and put it together. I have new foods all the time, all different types, whether it's American food, ethnic food. Sometimes I'm just creative, sometimes there's a cookbook, but I'm never bored, and I can eat out at all sorts of restaurants. So even though I'm a vegan and I don't eat gluten and I don't eat soy, there's just like endless amounts of food available for me. Whenever I go out to a restaurant that serves meat, it's not really a big deal. I look at the menu. A lot of menus have vegetarian options. Some even have vegan options listed right on there. But even if they don't, I can just look down and pick out different ingredients. And if I'm communicating well with the server, I can ask them to ask the chef if they can put together something for me. Sometimes I'll just tell them to make whatever they want, and I'll give them my specifications and really be clear about my diet. Other times I'll ask if they can do something specific. Many menus, especially if they have a vegetarian option, I can just take off like cheese or something. If I'm taking out gluten, I'll just have a salad somewhere, sometimes soup if it's a gluten-free soup. But most restaurants have salads. Most restaurants have, some sort of vegetable dish. It's such a common thing to be vegetarian in this country, no matter where you are in the country, or even in the world, actually, that people understand it. They will understand what my diet is, and they're willing to accommodate. Ultimately, what I've discovered on this journey of being a vegan is just how good it makes me feel on so many different levels. It's made my entire body feel good, and I feel good on a compassionate level for the animals. I feel like I'm doing something really good for the planet. I feel like it brings me closer. I have all these amazing conversations with people. They're just, the reasons for being vegan for me just go on, and I can't imagine not being a vegan. In fact, I became so passionate about it that I started a website called Eco Vegan Gal just over 2 years ago, and I started realizing that I'm really passionate about educating people about how to be healthier and how to be kinder to the planet. And I feel like being vegan and environmentally friendly go hand in hand. So if you're an environmentalist, vegan is a great choice because it really helps bring sustainability to a new level. If you're a vegetarian or vegan, you can start to understand how that affects the planet. And like I mentioned earlier, just giving up meat or dairy for a day, a week, really makes a big difference. In fact, if you want to learn more about it, you can go visit my site, but I really just want to encourage you to try it. Whether you're inspired by this video or other things on this YouTube channel, it's really not as hard as it seems, and every little bit helps. So give it a try, even, for a week. I would encourage you to try it for a month to really get the full feeling of it, whether that's vegetarian or vegan. Try a lot of different foods, talk to different people, do research, read books, really get yourself into it so you get a full understanding and you're not just thinking about misconceptions and myths and stories you've heard. Because it's a great thing, at least for me. I love being a vegan.